In this case, very easily, with the federal government coming in and the Justice Department trying these.
Well, I just look at to the average person in the street, with the amount of given exposure to the whole court case, it just looked fishy. It looked sneaky as far as moving it out of Los Angeles into Simi Valley, which is another county in the middle of a white neighborhood, and it just looks sneaky. It looks like, yeah, it just looks like, okay, we know what kind of decision we're going to make, and they're right now gone are the days where they could play us off as just being stupid, ignorant, lazy, and dumb other species of human beings. That's over with. And I just think, when things get to a head with passive people, and for example, just talking about Los Angeles, a lot of incidents happen out there. For example, a big issue out there was the shooting of the girl in the Korean grocer. And people kept it, tried to keep it down at bay. And already they have a gang situation out there that a lot of people look from afar and say, well, that's just a black neighborhood thing, and we're not worrying about it. And this issue was the one that just, when the dam broke, the boy took his finger out the dam and his chunks in the water. I'll tell you a realistic thing that they talk about Los Angeles, but there's a serious neighborhood problem in St. Louis, Kansas City, Atlanta, South Carolina, in various little cities. There's a big problem in Baltimore, Detroit, Chicago, Houston, and Denver, Seattle. And, it's just not the news highlights are saying, well, this is off the King case. This is off a lot of unanswered questions in the neighborhood.
Let me bring in for an answered question from these two gentlemen. Mitch in Kansas. Go ahead, Mitch.
Yeah, I'd like to get an opinion here. Back in the 70s, we had Earth Day where we had black and whites and Hispanics and Asians together. Recently, we had the pro-choice and the pro-life walks at the Capitol with over 1 million people. Why can't somebody in the black community step forward now and mobilize people and show the government and the racists out there and the pessimists that, yes, we can change, but if we have to do it together?
Well, what I think is your comparison to the other forms of, I think you mentioned an environmental equilibrium as well as, I guess, an abortion's rights equilibrium. Everyone's together and happy. Black people in this country have done everything they can to be a part of America. Now, I personally feel as though that this is totally due to miseducation, black people wanting to be a part of America. But historically, we've showed over and over again, we've stuck our hand out and have gotten it chopped off over and over again. How many kings must be destroyed?
But aren't you doing some of your own chopping now? I mean, you know that most of the victims in Los Angeles, in terms of the store owners and in terms of the corpses, are black. And for you to sit here and say, well, this is justified because of historical reasons, because in the long run, I mean, aren't you just saying it's okay to sacrifice us? And what's going to be the impact of sacrificing yourselves, of putting blacks out of business and killing blacks on black advancement?
I don't think we're putting blacks out of business because
you are.
But the reality to economics, business economics, first of all, is that we don't even own the land we got our business on. At any time, the cops can kick in our door and say, you're selling drugs in your business and drag you out and throw you in jail.
That doesn't happen that often.
Oh, wait a minute. It does.
But listen,
this happens every single day in America.
The problem that I'm having with what you're saying is that you're taking such a wide perspective, which is
admirable. With millions of people and hundreds of years.
But the specifics of what is happening in Los Angeles, in a nutshell, it seems to me can be put this way. Blacks are making life harder for blacks. It's not just what's happening now. When a lot of these businesses that are just partially ruined are built back, the insurance rates in these neighborhoods are going to put more people out.
So
how does this help?
No, let's say this. Blacks are helping the insurance companies get paid.
But yes, I understand. That is one way to look at it. As far as
there's many ways we can look at this.
So why don't we look at it for the moment in terms of the harm blacks are doing to blacks in Los Angeles?
I would say the situation is going to be rough from 10 to 15 years from now. But it's a studying point that in order for the black community to really get control of itself, which it has never been allowed to truly have, you have to talk about reparations have to be paid back to black people. I'm talking from the root, from the beginning, tons.
How are they paid? Are they paid in money?
Oh, well, in the system right now, we have to have our own control over media. We have to have land. We have to be given so much to repay ourselves from back then, the years that a lot of white people say that don't count, in order for us to get to a point where we could come up to a point where we really, truly...
I'm sorry, Chris, I told you. Computers,
okay.
People aren't going to hear it anyhow. It's an inappropriate time for a break, and here it is.
Securities that they've had ever since they were a little punk kid, and they became a cop just in order to do that. And they take those badges and they try to play God with them. You know, cops don't go to jail for murder. We do. You know, they get laid off for murder.
What I feel is that these people are making a statement. We're making a statement basically is that we're not just going to sit by and let this one go away. You know what I mean? When you saw those people over there getting dragged out of their cars just because, you know, they were white, getting beat just because they were white, that's how many black people feel when they get beat just because they're black by the police. You know what I'm saying? So how we feel is that we have nothing to lose. So what are you going to do if you catch us? You're going to beat us? Wow. Was that going to happen in the first place?
Leaders such as locked up in the jails. We have political leaders here, such as Geronimo Pratt. And these people have concrete things to say and concrete programs that will get everybody realizing where we're at. A step on them. But they want to just show, all right, yeah, you play ball, you sing. Hey, what's the solution for America? Reparations give us, the government, I feel, you know, since we're in media, the government should give black people 24-hour a day TV, news service, something we can control, and they should fund everything. That's just the beginning to a whole list of reparations. I think economists could come up with a plan on how to get everybody paid. Right?
When you guys were asked to come on this show, did you ask who the host was and what color he was, and did it matter?
That's pointless.
Why?
It's pointless because if you're a person, you're a professional, you know, your job is to reach out to a certain amount of people, and you have a lot of people that listen to you for your professionalism, and we're here to explain our point. Everybody doesn't have to share the same point. But here in America, there's been right ways things have been done, and there's been wrong ways things have been done. There's been double standards, and I think the wrong ways and the double standards should be eliminated.
Let me get one more call in here. We're really backed up, to your credit. Yolanda from Indiana.
Yes, I understand the violence going on, but I wanted to know if they had any basis for turning on their own. Do you have any basis of reason why they would turn on their own community where it tends to hurt them?
Oh, I would start off by saying, number one, they're trapped, which is another whole reparations program. The projects there, you said in Indiana you're in. I believe Chicago, right next door to you, have one of the biggest and worst projects in the nation out there. Miles and miles of projects. Black people are trapped in 1992, and then they're unorganized. So I will not justify the senseless killings of ourselves as well as other people, but what I will say the reason for it is because we are trapped and we are unorganized.
You see, when they roped off the South Central area, they did exactly that. They roped it off. So keep all violence within that South Central
same area
before it leaks out into Beverly Hills or Hollywood.
And that's where it's going.
Right. The organized revolution was everybody leave South Central and just go into Hollywood and Beverly Hills and Bel Air and burn it down.
I know this is one of those cheap interviewers' tricks, but maybe you can save it with the eloquence of what you say. We're out of time in this segment, and these two gentlemen are leaving now. But summarize. Give me something in brief. It's got to be very brief from both of you. A last word that you want to leave.
It's going to get a lot worse before it gets better. And the best and the worst is yet to come. And we didn't all create this situation, but that's the reality of it.
Chris, that briefly, please.
My message goes out to the Europeans that live in America. Join an organization. To the black people in America, join an organization. Fight for the floor of humanity.
Right.
Thanks, gentlemen.
So I wanted to give y'all this video. I know it was a long watch from the start, right? But I needed y'all to see that entire segment of the interview because, one, I can't find the whole damn thing. And two, that was probably one of the more important, crucial parts of it, if I had to be honest. This interview was 1992, around the time of the LA riots. And this guy, Eric Burns, I'm guessing he's like a political commentator or someone, brought on KRS-One and Chuck D. And this is where I kind of started to pay attention to things like, man, they really don't bring them type of dudes on for these kind of interviews anymore. Why? Because look at how they made him look. KRS-One was talking real intelligent. Same with Chuck D. Eric Burns didn't know what to do with that. Like, he's not, I don't know, say he was racist. I don't know what he was. But at the same time, you could see in his face, like, damn, I thought I was going to have something different. These niggas is really out here presenting themselves. And Chuck D straight put it out there like, long gone are those days where y'all think that shit about us. I mean, think about it like this. They learned their lesson with Malcolm X and Dr. King back in the 60s, in the 50s. Like, you know what I'm saying? It's just what it is. And the reason why I wanted to bring this to y'all is because it is important that we pay attention to shit like that. It's not just this black empowerment thing, even though that's really what I'm down for more than anything. But the issues that we talk about now were issues talked about by people like Chuck D and KRS-One back then. So the consequences of a lot of things that have gone down, in my personal opinion, it just goes to show that this is not the thing that was just noticed. It's just more radicalized because of the internet. See, Chuck D, KRS-One, Nas, Shahrzad Ali, a lot of them other people were around then to talk about these things, and it wasn't mainstream because if it did go mainstream, black people would get it. And I look at the song Fight the Power because Fight the Power, I really don't think black people was ready for that message back in 1989. I don't know what it was. It might have just been the rise of street culture. I don't know what it was, but black people just were not ready for that message back in 1989. I think everything KRS-One talked about, I don't think black people were ready for that message either. I still don't think black people are really ready for the message, but I would say gone are those days where we might not be. And we might be getting to a point where we are ready for that message because we need the painful truth. It's not toxic. It's not, super addictive to watch when you have to hear black power shit, but we really need it because this interview stands on its own as, look, two rappers from back in the day who are on a news anchor talking to some dude and they giving them all the facts about what the hell is wrong with the black community as a whole and how we got to this point. They would never bring on someone like KRS-One and Chuck D today. Never. They would choose Cardi B or Megan Thee Stallion or some fucking Kodak Black or somebody. They're not bringing on Kendrick Lamar. They're not bringing on Cordae or Joey Badass or J. Cole. They're not going to bring them on. They're not going to bring on Rhapsody. You see what I'm saying? They're going to bring on the goofiest, most stereotypical person we can think of. Think about it like this. Back in 2020 when Biden was running for president, who did he bring on to his show? He brought on Cardi B. Cardi B spoke for black people. You see what I'm saying? It's like we're watching the bullshit unfold decade after decade, but nobody wants to address it. But I find it funny because the boy Eric Burns, he tried it. He tried to say like, y'all doing your own chopping your own hands off, this, that, and the third. Nigga, how the fuck do you think we got to this point? Y'all didn't have niggas for real until the 80s when street culture rose. And like Chuck D said, when the black community has never been allowed to stand on its own, these things wouldn't be an issue. And it's a fact, these things would not be an issue. America has the black people it deserves to have, as Sarge Willipede would say, because look at what the fuck going down. They did everything they could to shut the black community down. And here we are now, and it is just like here's 2025 and it's like these young boys running up on white people, old people, workers, non-workers. They don't give a fuck. Yeah, and that's what y'all get for y'all created this. Now I do blame the black community for some degree because we just allowed this shit to down spiral to as worst possible it could, but I'm not going to sit here and say that isn't owed from the fact that the white community in America as a whole has done everything it could to make sure black people looked like this. That's just my 2 cents on the situation because that's what it is. Now, when you get to the nitty gritty of the situation, I would love to see us start to get it a little more. We are getting it. I do think black people are getting it. I think this message stands firm more now than it did then, because we're still seeing the ramifications of the shit. You come into Philadelphia, you go into a black neighborhood, our shit still look goofy. You go into a white neighborhood or an Asian neighborhood, it's clean than a motherfucker. And that does have a lot to do with the people in the neighborhood, but it just goes to show where they're willing to put the resources. They'll put the resources in the Asian community. They'll give them nice little trash cans and new sidewalks and stuff like that. I know Philly has this thing going on where like a lot of the sidewalks have to have the handicap slash accessible sidewalks with the little wheel stopping. Yeah, them joints. Like I know that's been going on in Philly. So I mean, my neighborhood down here in Philly, I won't tell you where I'm at. We right here with it. But the issue is these two rappers would never be brought on today. Just a little side, just looking back to the main point. They would never bring Chuck D, and it's a fact. They would always bring on some saucy ass nigga, or some emotional ass, unstable nigga that can't have a constructive conversation. That's who they would bring on. But the fact that Chuck D and KRS-One held themselves together, yeah, that's what they didn't like. They thought Chuck D and KRS-One were going to go off the deep end. Now, if it was Ice Cube, they might have gotten there. Back then, Ice Cube didn't give a fuck. But now I don't think they would even bring on Ice Cube, because Ice Cube don't move like that no more. We all saw that Fox Soul interview. He could have gave all them girls hell, but he didn't really. He did it in a smooth way. They would bring on some emotionally unstable ass dude, and it doesn't make any sense that this shows that America is really afraid of black people who are smart. They're afraid of smart black people, because hell, even black people are afraid of smart black people. It just goes to show you it doesn't make sense. It's just like you see this interview of these two brothers explaining what's wrong with the black community. Not that far off from Malcolm X and Dr. King back in the 60s, hell, even Fred Hampton. But then you get to the 80s and the 90s, and you get those brothers, and they speaking on a standpoint that would work and what would actually benefit the black community, even with white people's disapproval. Fast forward to the 2010s, all of a sudden, black people can't speak in interviews. We can't talk. I say this interview is important because it just goes to show where our music has gone in the past 30 years. Our representation has gone in the past 30 years. See, I didn't mind rappers being a representation in the 90s, because at least we had, like I said, Chuck D, we had KRS-One, we had Nas, Guru from Gangstar, Big L. Like, we had other people that I wouldn't mind representing us because they all had the skill. Nowadays, they really don't even want Kendrick Lamar to rep us. That's why they never bring him on the interviews. Now, not saying he would do them. He probably doesn't really want to do them. But damn, bro, they don't even bring on LL no more. When Cube can't interview, you know, it's about like Snoop Dogg is so popular. Everybody like, yeah, Snoop, Snoop, Snoop. But Snoop got a character that he plays. But then Snoop also apparently voted for Trump. So that's a no-no with niggas. Same with Rick Ross, apparently. So I don't know where that's going to go. But if you really look at our representation as a community in 2025, that shit is atrocious. Like, that shit is utterly atrocious. And I honestly look at this as a wake-up call that the black community really needed, but we just didn't want that wake-up call. We refused to accept them. It's sad, man. It's sad that, like, you know, Chuck D basically breaking down every time black people have tried to do any fucking thing, the white community, America, has done everything they can to shut it down. Seneca Hills was a black town turned Central Park. Wonder how that happened. Highways getting driven through black neighborhoods. Black Wall Street getting burned down. Assassination of black leaders. The one dude saying, oh, how come, you know, the black community doesn't get that one person? Wow, so y'all going to assassinate them too? Every time we get that, y'all kill them too. But y'all don't want to have that conversation either. It's like no matter what we try to do, we've done it all. We've built communities, y'all burnt them down. We built our schools, y'all got rid of them. We had our neighborhoods, y'all drove highways through them. We've had leaders, y'all assassinated them. Redlining. Didn't y'all deny us Social Security for like the first 20 to 30 years? Y'all done did everything in your power to make sure that African Americans could not succeed or benefit. And when you get the black people you have, now y'all say black fatigue. Bitch, please. Bitch, please. It's a lot of this shit just ain't adding up. a lot of this shit is weird. And now we're looking at 2025, and I'm loving to see black people just like, we ain't doing shit. Protest, whatever. Whatever happens, happens. Thank you, black people. I've been saying this for years. Maybe not on this channel, but I've been saying it in real life as well. And everybody looking at me like I'm crazy. And I'm like, well, now look where we are in 2025. Black people don't give a fuck. People getting deported. This, that are happening. And black people just like, hey, man, ain't our problem. Because, see, I wonder if there was Mexicans out there back in 92 riding with black people for Rodney King. I doubt it. I doubt it. So, you know what I'm saying? Like, I know this video is a little bit longer than usual because I really needed y'all to see that whole interview. And it's just something about it that still is just so resonating. And I really want y'all to let me know how y'all feel in the comments below. But, yeah, there's a black and a